Welcome to Nethral. What you're about to see should make every American, regardless of party, pay close attention. Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the most powerful law enforcement agency on planet Earth, sat in the United States Senate hearing room last week and engaged in one of the most heated personal exchange with a sitting U.S. senator in recent memory. The topics? Margaritas, bar tabs, allegations about drinking, questions about whether someone lied to Congress. This is Capitol Hill, the room where Robert Mueller testified, the room where decades ago J. Edgar Hoover answered to Congress, the room where FBI is supposed to account for how it spends your tax dollars, and the man at the witness table, Kash Patel, Donald Trump's hand-picked FBI director, a man who before taking this job hosted a podcast, sold branded merchandise, and wrote children's books about what he calls the deep state. Across from him, Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland, a Yale-educated Democrat who came to that hearing with documents, stations, and pointed questions. What follows is 6 minutes of footage that, in my view, every American, Republican, Democrat, Independent should watch. Because what happened in that room, I believe, says a great deal about the state of our federal institution in 2026. Watch closely, then decide for yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Director Patel, I've been listening carefully to your responses to some of my colleagues, and I want to start with a question that Senator Coons asked you that relates to this article where the headline is Kash Patel's latest firings ousted agents with expertise in Iran. The article says that these individuals were fired for their role in the classified documents investigations of Donald Trump. First of all, is that true?
The article, just like all the other articles you cited, is false, and there's ongoing litigation, so I can't address it.
Okay. You did answer Senator Coons, and I understood your answer to be that the people that were fired, that none of them were part of the group that had Iran expertise. Is that your answer?
No, he asked if they were Iran experts. I said they were not.
Were the group fired? Did it include people who were Iran experts?
No.
Did it include people who were involved in counter-espionage activities with respect to Iran?
I don't have the list in front of me.
So you don't know whether or not you fired people with counter-espionage experience with respect to Iran. You don't know the answer to that question.
I terminated anyone and everyone that weaponized law enforcement.
Stop, pause, let that line sink in. I terminated anyone and everyone that weaponized law enforcement. Listen carefully, folks. Because what Kash Patel just said on the record in front of the United States Senate appears to confirm that he removed FBI agents based on his own assessments of which investigations were legitimate. The translation many observers are drawing: the agents who worked classified documents case, the case involving former President Trump and documents allegedly stored at Mar-a-Lago, maybe among these people who are gone. And here is the part that stood out to me. Van Hollen asked a simple yes or no question. Did the people you fired include Iran counterintelligence experts? Patel's answer: I don't have the list in front of me. You don't have the list? You are the director of the FBI. You are sitting in front of the Senate Appropriations Committee, requesting $12.5 billion of taxpayers' money. You know this question was coming. The Atlantic had published its reporting weeks earlier. Reporting Patel has denied, and is currently litigating, and yet no list. In my view, that's not forgetfulness. That's what attorneys would call plausible deniability. And it's a tactic that viewers and senators are entitled to question. And here's what concerns me: not the optics, but the substance. 2 months ago, the United States went to war with Iran. Hezbollah-inspired actors have already targeted American synagogues. Iranian-linked threats remain active on U.S. soil. And the FBI's Iran experts, the agents who speak Farsi, the analysts who spent 2 decades tracking these networks according to multiple credible reports. Many of them are no longer in those roles, reportedly removed before the war even began. Now ask yourself, if a Democrat had done this, if Joe Biden's FBI director had reassigned Iran specialists right before the war with Iran, what would the reaction be tonight on partisan media? We haven't even gotten to Margaritas yet. We haven't gotten to the $7,000 bar tab. We haven't got to the moment where the FBI director declined twice to answer whether lying to Congress is a crime. That's coming up. Don't go anywhere.
I see. So it was related, obviously, to the classified documents case. So
That's not what I said.
Well, Director Patel, I understood you to say to in response to Senator Murray that you've not redirected FBI resources toward the immigration enforcement effort.
That's not what I said.
Okay. Have you redirected resources away from your core FBI responsibilities toward the mass deportation effort?
No one at the FBI has been permanently reassigned on the immigration front, and when we pull the numbers, the FBI's overall operational field expenditures surged periodically for immigration enforcement activities, including the arrest of 2,000 people with direct ties to foreign terrorist organizations, was 2.4%.
So, okay, so the key word there, I guess, was permanently. You have not permanently reassigned. Is that what you reassigned temporarily?
Surges, yes, sir.
Okay. Have you had a chance to listen to or read about Brian Driscoll's statements about what you said to him and the reasons for his firing?
No, I have not, sir.
So let me just say this, Mr. Director. In your response to me earlier, where you had a little bit of a blow-up, you made a couple provably false statements.
So did you.
No, Mr. Director, I was reading about and asking you to respond to allegations that are made. In fact, I was giving you an opportunity to do that, and you took that opportunity. But in the process, you made these provably false statements that I know are sort of like urban legend in right-wing media about margaritas in El Salvador, which is provably false. And so coming from the mouth of an FBI director to make provably false statements in a hearing like this is extremely troubling. And it leads me to ask whether or not the other things you've been saying are false statements. And so because that's a provably false statement. You made a couple others that are provably false. And this is from the mouth of the FBI director.
The only one that made false statements is you.
My final question to you, Mr. Director, is do you know that it is a crime to lie to Congress? Do you know that? That's my last question.
I have not lied to Congress.
I didn't ask you that.
The one that lied to Congress is you.
Do you? I'm not testifying here, sir, and I don't lie.
Maybe the next time you run up a $7,000 bar tab, we can talk about it.
Well, see, there you go, lying again. You suggested
in the FEC report. I'll post it right now.
You suggested it was public. It wasn't public money, as you know. That was for a 50-member staff party.
So it was a $7,000 bar tab.
Mr. Patel, I'm glad. Let me just say in closing, Mr. Chairman, two things. I'm glad that you have agreed to take the test regarding, whether you have alcohol problems. I'm glad you agreed with me to do that. You still haven't answered my final question. Do you know, Mr. Director, that it is a crime to lie to Congress? Do you know that?
I do not lie to Congress.
I didn't ask you that.
And you're insinuating that I am because
I asked you whether you know.
You want to correct your time in this session where you got steamrolled by the facts so you can have a Twitter narrative so you can go raise more money and spend more money on $7,000 bar tabs.
Just let the record
I'm not
show,
going to give
Mr.
it
Chairman.
to you.
The director of the FBI apparently does not want to answer the question about whether or not it's a crime to lie to Congress, and I find that extremely troubling.
I find it troubling that you lie to the American people every day.
You are a disgrace, Mr. Director.
Not nearly as big as you.
The fact that you can't answer that question, I will. That concludes my questioning, Mr. Chairman. But I'm obviously very troubled.
All right, let's break this down because what you just watched, in my view, isn't political theater. It's a window into something much more serious about the state of our federal institutions in real time. Let me walk through 4 observations. Observation 1. When The Atlantic, one of the oldest and most rigorously fact-checked magazines in America, published reports alleging that Director Patel was drunk, missing, or unreachable on the job, his response wasn't to release his calendar. It wasn't to provide medical exam. It wasn't to offer any documentation that I'm aware of publicly. His response on the Senate floor was to accuse a sitting U.S. Senator of drinking margaritas with a gang member. Now, folks, in my experience, watching political hearings, when accused officials skip the documentation and go straight to attacking their accusers, it raises questions about credibility. Questions only Director Patel can ultimately answer. Every prosecutor, every defense attorney, every cop in America understands this dynamic. I will let you draw on your own conclusion. Observation 2. The Margarita story Patel keeps repeating. It appears to be based on misleading narrative that has been truly debunked by mainstream reporting. Here is what the reporting tells us actually happened. Senator von Hollen traveled to El Salvador in 2025 to check on Kilmer Abrego Garcia, a Maryland resident who, according to court filings and the Trump administration's own admissions, was wrongfully deported. During that meeting, the El Salvadoran government under President Bukele appears to have placed decorative margarita glasses on the table for a photo opportunity. Multiple sources confirm, while Holland objected. The glasses were reportedly never touched. That's it. That's the whole story. And the director of the FBI is repeating a version of events that, in my view, the public report simply does not support. Think about what that means. The man whose bureau is tasked with investigating disinformation in America appears to be repeating a narrative that mainstream reporting has debunked. Observation 3. Twice during this hearing, Senator von Hollen asked Patel a single, simple question. Do you know that it's a crime to lie to Congress? Twice, Patel did not answer it directly. Patel didn't say yes. He pivoted, he attacked, he deflected. His refusal to answer that question twice speaks for itself. I will let viewers draw their own conclusion about what that means. Observation 4. And this is the big one. The FBI director job exists with a 10-year fixed term for one reason: to keep the bureau out of partisan politics. Congress passed that law after J. Edgar Hoover, a director who the historical record now shows collected files on presidents, senators, civil rights leaders, and the journalists for nearly 50 years. America said never again. Then came Watergate, then came Iran-Contra, then came every reform designed to keep the FBI independent of any one administration. And now, in 2026, we have an FBI director who, based on the public record, reportedly removed agents tied to specific investigations, publicly accused a sitting senator of dishonesty during hearing, declined twice to confirm that lying to Congress is a crime, repeated a narrative that mainstream reporting has called into question, and is requesting another $12.5 billion of taxpayer money. Now, let me be fair. Because this channel is called Nethral for a reason, Republican Senators Lindsey Graham, Bill Hagerty, Kathy Britt defended Patel. They cited statistics: violent crime arrest up, the homicide rate down, child predators in custody, and those numbers, based on what I've been able to verify, appear largely accurate. The FBI's career agents, the men and women in the field, are still doing the work. They are not what concerns me here. What concerns me, in my view, is the leadership at the top. Because here is the bottom line as I see: an institution can survive bad policy. An institution can survive budget cuts. An institution can even survive scandal. What an institution may not survive is a sustained erosion of public trust in its leadership. Hoover ran the FBI for 48 years. By the time he died, the historical record shows the damage to the case to address. Church committee hearings, congressional reforms, internal reviews, an entire generation of work. History shows what happens when checks and balances fail. The question for 2026 is whether we have learned that lesson or whether we are about to test it again. Here is the difference between 1972 and 2026. In my view, back then both parties eventually said enough. Republicans and Democrats stood together and said, no individual is bigger than the institution. Today, half of Washington defended this performance. Half. So I'll ask you the same question I always ask. Forget the team jerseys. Forget red versus blue. Just answer this for yourself. Based on what you saw, do you trust this man with your safety, with your family, with your country? The cameras don't lie. The transcript is public. You saw what you saw. Hit subscribe, smash that like button, and drop your verdict in the comments, because in a democracy, you are the final jury. This is Nethral. We will see you next time.